Music. There's a lot of it. Let me do you one better. Online music. There's even more of that. If only there was a way to find specific music that I like in one spot. Oh yeah, it's called Discover Weekly on Spotify. But I don't want to give Tim Apple or Egghead here all my money, so luckily on here, I don't have to do that. If you click this video expecting me to talk about the lo-fi girls, Monstercats, and electronic gems of the world, then yeah, you're right, I am. If you clicked for any other reason, then I'm sorry to say, you might be an idiot. Speaking of idiots, what kind of name is Monstercat anyways? I mean, I know these little guys can be pretty annoying sometimes, even downright aggressive, but like seriously? Real scary guys. If you think I'm being too mean to them, don't worry, they're never gonna see this video. They do publish some pretty banging tracks, but they're way too big for my hungry ass. In fact, if someone working at Monstercat right now happens to be watching this, then leave a comment. See, they won't do it. I joke around, but the truth is, Monstercat and channels like it have been pretty important for music online, and it's crazy to think that them, Lo-Fi Girl, and a bunch of others you know probably never would have existed if not for YouTube doing something that would change how music works on the website. And them doing this allowed for the rise of one of the biggest movements for music, not just on the internet, but globally. And as you'll see, some of your favorite songs or artists owe their entire success to these things. What am I talking about? I'm talking about music showcase channels. Or music curation channels if you want to be weird. You know what else is weird? This video is actually sponsored, for real, by... Hello?
It is I, the sponsor stopper here, to stop any video integrations from invading Funky Town. Now, not another word, mister.
Wait a minute, isn't this the mailman guy? Am I bugging? What's up, dude? I'm talking about Lalal.Ai. It's something that actually makes sense for the channel. It's not like food or whatever. They're a music website that lets you...
I said stop it!
They let you split the stems of any song or audio that you can then use for either personal stuff or in your own music. Just upload your track, pick how you want it, and after a minute or so, there it is. It's actually really cool. I make music sometimes, you'll actually hear it in this video, and I do find myself needing something like this every now and again. They also have a vocal cleaner, which lets you do noise cancellation, and their latest offering is a new voice changer, which, after recording yourself, lets you pick from a handful of artists and go to town. These pictures are kinda freaky, not gonna lie, but the tech is genuinely crazy.
You're the crazy one!
Their tools have been used by some professional artists, and you can use my code in the description to sign up courtesy of their referral program, where you can refer it to a friend, and both of you guys get extra minutes to toy around with the stem splitter, on top of the free 10 minutes you get for signing up. Very cool. Well, I think that's everything, so thank you again so much to Lala for sponsoring. It's my very first one, so please go show them some love, link in the description, and my pinned comment. Wow, I'm a real YouTuber now. It's over, so you get out of here.
You haven't seen the last of me, mister! I'll be back!
I haven't even started talking about the thing yet, but if you're enjoying this video so far, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to hit 300k in my lifetime, and it would help out a ton. Anyways, if you're not aware, back when YouTube first started, it was hard to find music online. There was no Spotify, and streaming in general hadn't really taken off yet. It was more just dedicated music sites that you had to go out of your way to find, and even then, that was more for original stuff. For mainstream music, people who had a CD of something would just burn it onto their computer, put that shit into Movie Maker, slap some ugly ass filter on it, and put it online for us to enjoy. Either that or the GOATs! I mean these bad things, get back! YouTube was no different, with people seeing it as just another dumping ground. But for me, and maybe for you, this was how I found out about and got into a lot of the artists that I listen to today. It was just people uploading whatever they had for easy access, and creators ran with it, putting songs in their videos, others wondering what they are. Hopefully somebody replies and copy paste, there it is. Skidget Skidjet has you covered. To this day, one of my favorite rock songs is For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica, and I only found it because I heard it in this old ass pivot animation compilation thing that I thought was the coolest thing ever. There it was, named at the end. I searched it up and there I listened. Why were they shouting gun on they run? I didn't know, but who cares? The sound effect is sweet, Dad. And I'm willing to bet I'm not alone in this. Smack you into 2007 and this YouTube thing is starting to gain a lot of traffic. More people are starting to flood the website to upload their remixed content. It's the Wild West, with some people not changing anything at all and instead just uploading raw clips of TV shows or movies, but in our case, music. Minus all the copyright infringement. Unbeknownst to Google and to the internet at large, the tube was slowly becoming a media library, and this train did not want to slow down. Naturally, you can't really slow down something like this. But what you can do is try to control it.
Okay, hi. So, my name is Foxy. Hey, Fred!
Naturally, people both smarter than me and who owned a business saw this trend of a growing populace finding their music through YouTube or on the internet in general, and two branching thoughts emerged. The first being, how can we shut this down? But the other being a bunch of guys at that same table going, whoa, wait a second dudes, what if we use this thing as a way to promote our music? Some people thought it was a dumb idea, still viewing the internet as nothing to take seriously. But some people saw the vision, and in 2009, Universal Music Group's CEO, Doug Morris, would finalize on a deal with Google that looked to change how music worked on YouTube. Listen, I know you see this and instantly know it's Vevo, but I knew you'd know that and you didn't expect that I put a silhouette on it. Yeah, you didn't see that coming, did you? Now, Vevo is its own thing, ginormous in fact, so I'm not gonna go deep in here, but I'm bringing it up to showcase that although people hated this thing at the beginning, I kinda believe it turned out to be a net positive, not just for music and YouTube, but music as a whole. It helped lay the groundwork for a lot of labels that, as you'll see later, would follow in their footsteps, and played a huge part in making music available online. For those unaware, Vevo is actually an amalgamation of the big three record labels to upload their artists' music online. That's why you can find videos from people across all three labels on this thing. Except for Warner, who wanted to be quirky and unique and were holding out, but they eventually came around in 2016. Not on YouTube though, and as far as I'm aware, the deal's still going. I love capitalism. Don't worry, Universal still said fuck the big three, it's just Big Me, but what a rare case of these giant corporations all working together to pursue the greater interest of pleasing the fans. But although Vevo had the commercial side of music covered, this would leave a hole in a different area, that being online music. A song you'd make in your bedroom or dorm room that you just want to put out there. Sites like SoundCloud would get you some plays, but unless your track caught on or was recommended by someone, it would prove hard to find long-term success. For every young lean getting millions of plays, there was 1,001 Sky Gold Raxes throwing things at the wall, hoping for their turn in the spotlight. This would also be around the time when the kinda but not really niche genre of drum and bass and this newer thing called dubstep were gaining interest internationally at an insane rate. And with both blogs and forums covering this stuff, it was only a matter of time until the general music populace would gain sentience of it all. So back on YouTube, it would only make sense that someone would see this as an opportunity to make a channel centered around online music that they liked. Channels like Panda Drum and Bass already had a head start, but looked a bit disorganized with their presentation. And in 2009, a 16-year-old named Luke Hood from the town of Frome, Somerset in the UK wanted a place to share some of his favorite electronic tunes with his friends, and would create a channel with the name simply being where he's from, titled United Kingdom and Frome, otherwise known as UKF. Luke is just a kid in community college who enjoys going to festivals with his friends. At these sweaty mosh pits, DJs would play a handful of drum and bass, dubstep, and jump-up music, but would find it hard to pinpoint or re-listen to specific songs that the DJs would put in the set lists. The gatekeeping was crazy, so he created two channels, being UKF Drum and Bass and UKF Dubstep, as a way to give specific songs to his friends more directly. Just a small thing, but had some ideas if it maybe went somewhere. It just so happened that other people were having a similar problem, which made them find him when searching for music. As it was growing, some of the labels that owned the tracks that he was uploading would approach him, initially angry that he was uploading their stuff without permission. But seeing the size of his growing audience, they realized that everyone could benefit from the promo, and started working directly with Luke to release songs on a schedule, even getting some exclusives. Everyone has a price, even the labels. In just 2 short years, the channels would amass a combined total of over 1 million subscribers, and by the end of 2012, the channels totaled over 1 billion views across the 2 OGs, and a new one created for original content. 3 years, dude, that's all it took. What the fuck am I doing? Through UKF, a ton of online artists that were gaining momentum got a huge boost in popularity. Artists like Flux Pavilion, Zed's Dead, Mode Step, Knife Party, and Nero would all see a giant boost in listeners, with Zed's Dead's remix of Eyes on Fire by Blue Foundation becoming the most viewed video on the channel with over 170 million views. Sorry. The COD PTSD just hit me, dude. A bit later, a company called AEI Music would approach Luke and discuss a working relationship, and together, the channels would only grow, securing compilations, festivals, and exclusive artist collabs, all contributing into making this an EDM juggernaut. During the rise, Luke did an interview with the blog So Active, and in it, he says that he never intended for the channels to become this popular. It really was just a thing he made to share music with his friends, as he wasn't even monetized. But he says one of the reasons why it got as big as it got was Facebook. He never paid for any marketing, so it simply was people taking the songs and reposting it on their Facebook accounts. And I know exactly what he's talking about. Because I used to do that! I saw it everywhere. People in Facebook groups reposting whatever song they found on their pages. You also gotta think back to what Facebook was when we were using it, right? It was different. Before Facebook became the boomer website it is now, only opening it just to check somebody's birthday and then not speak to them again for 4 years.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park.
By 2011, online music was no longer underground tracks that you would find on Newgrounds or This Song Is Sick. By now, online content in general was reaching the masses at a crazy rate.
Okay, I'm gonna cover my face and do it. Fine. He's climbing in your window, he's snatching your people up.
These things people were making online were becoming mainstream, and for me, I was in deep. On the music side, I would find songs and artists on channels like UKF. I was all over this thing, dude. Just off the top, some of the channels that I frequented back then were Vital Dubstep, Majestic Casual, one I'll get to later, and Monstercat. I was in there, dude. Dude, I would take songs from these channels and this is my actual old playlist, and I would listen to this at home, either on my Windows 7 virus machine or put it on my iPod and take it with me to school. And it felt great sharing whatever songs I found with my friends. But it wasn't just us taking an interest, because popular artists were too. My favorite example coming from Jay-Z and Kanye West on their collab album Watch the Throne, the Paris album, sampling Flux Pavilion's I Can't Stop for their 9th song, Who Gon' Stop Me, which, I'll be honest, I'll stop you. This song has not aged the best, I'm hoping for obvious reasons. But like I said, I was in deep, so hearing a track I loved from online being sampled in a commercial track of all things, from 2 artists that I've grown up with, I didn't believe it, dude. I really just did not believe it. But it wasn't enough that music and video companies were eating off this endless sea. Brands and Fortune 500 companies also wanted in. Later this same year, we're still in 2011, a street dancer by the name of Marcus Nonstop Scott uploaded a video to his YouTube channel. He's just like me, for real. It was a video of him dancing to a remixed version of the newest Foster the People song, Pumped Up Kicks. This video would be shared all over the internet, and by early 2012 would amass over 30 million views on YouTube. One of those 30 million people was a representative at Coca-Cola who were running an ad campaign with iTunes at the time, which lets you get a free song. Some guys at a table saw his video and chose to give him a spot dancing in his own commercial, promoting the service. Kinda taking a play from Pepsi, but we'll let it slide. This ad would debut in Canada, and since they found Marcus online, it only made sense to find an accompanying song, presumably an EDM one, from someone also online. They found a producer duo called Adventure Club, two Canadian guys, gotta get those extra points, named Christian Srigley and Leighton James. And when deciding what song to put, they eventually settled on their online hit called Do I See Color. Banger song, by the way. I still listen to this thing. In fact, this was actually how I found out about both Adventure Club and one of the channels I mentioned earlier, Vital Dubstep. Listen, when I first saw this commercial, I went online to find it. Someone commented the song, and when I went to search it up, Vital's video was the first one I saw. Like, isn't that crazy? Feels like I've said something similar already. A bit later, Coca-Cola would work with Marcus again for another commercial, and over the years, Adventure Club would make a name for themselves, releasing and touring off of remixes and some original songs that YouTubers would feature in their videos. All culminating in 2018 when the duo would get nominated for a Grammy under Best Remix. You know, this is not a bad run for some guys who just got picked for a Coca-Cola commercial. In 2019, Leighton did an interview with the YouTube channel Sidewalk Talks, in which he talks about the duo's beginnings and shares what he believed to be the turning point of their career.
And what do you think gave you the next momentum?
So we released a couple more songs after Daisy, and I think like the one that really like hit it home and solidified us in the online sphere was our remix of Crave You.
In 2009, over in Sydney, two Australian guys named Hugo Gruzman and James Lyle formed an electronic music duo named Flight Facilities. By now, the duo have been remixing songs they found online for a while, and they wanted to try their hand at making some original music. A bit later in the year, they would meet a girl named Giselle Roselli at a bar, an aspiring local songwriter who too wanted to release some music. All three of them had people who liked what they did but never really broke out into anything big, as all they really wanted was to release something original and have people listen to it in some way. Sharing a common interest, the three of them would work together in their bedrooms, with Giselle providing some lyrics that she'd been sitting on for a little bit. The result would be a song titled Crave You, which would release the next year in March and would go on to act as both artists' debut singles. The song would prove popular on local airwaves, being played on Australia's biggest radio station, Triple J, and go beyond into the virtual world. Needless to say, they were happy. To coincide with the single, they released a remix EP comprising of 8 original remixes, 7 of which done by different artists, one of them being an early Adventure Club who landed the final spot on the project. Although the other songs were good in their own right, it was this Adventure Club remix that turned out to be really successful, and a year later, a small but rapidly growing music showcase channel would find this remix and post it onto their channel, which would help skyrocket both the song and channel into mega stardom. What channel is this? You may have heard of him. A small channel called Mr. Suicide Sheep. Mr. Suicide Sheep was created in 2010 in Canada by... I'll come back to that. This account would basically do what similar channels did, find music online and repost it to their account. Suicide Sheep would upload the Crave You remix in June of 2011, and by November of that year, the song would amass over 500,000 views, and by next year was sitting at over 3 million. Today, the song's video is boasting a whopping 116 million views, being the 4th most viewed video on the channel, and more than doubling the original song. It's safe to say that when Layton was talking about the success of the remix online, he was referring to this video. When this was posted, the channel wasn't even at 50,000 subscribers yet, but constant uploads eventually paid off, with the Sheep now sitting comfortably at a little over 12 million. And just like UKF, the Sheep has built up an impressive catalog of music and has given spotlight to some artists that maybe would have never got it. The difference with Sheep comes from not focusing on a particular genre, but instead carrying a variety of music. One thing I forgot to mention that made these channels so popular is the infinite feedback loop of music. Once you got big enough, you could theoretically open your doors for artists to submit their own music, negating some of the need to go hunting for tracks to upload. Some artists would even do custom mixes for the channels, DJing to get their songs the account owner would upload. In the Sheep's case, this also worked for the artwork, as some artists would submit their drawings or photographs to be used as the thumbnails, a deliberate choice to stand out from other similar accounts. Mr. Suicide Sheep was just but one in an ongoing cog of people wanting to showcase and maybe make some coin off promoting and curating music, and in the span of a few years would become one of the largest players in the game, with artists such as Elenium, Seven Lions, Ramses B, and Steven all getting huge numbers on their videos. But for how popular and important this channel is, I've never noticed this, but I don't really know anything about the person or persons behind the curtain. Really, the more I thought about it, the more questions I had, like who actually runs this thing, and what's with the name? And with how private this whole operation seems to be, can I really find that much information about it, if any at all? At first, I thought it'd be easy with how big they are, like they got a game. But very quickly, things took a turn, because the more I looked, the more I couldn't find anything. There are no live streams or blog posts I could rummage through. There's this Wikitubia page, but there's not a lot on here, and there is a newsletter, but I ain't signing up to all that. Let me be clear, I almost gave up. But then I started digging. Google Page 2, baby. I stumbled across an interview the Sheep did back in 2013 with this website called The Frontliner, which is all but defunct now. Reading through, I got some info. I also found out that most of the information on this Wikitubia page comes from a Reddit AMA the Sheep did also in 2013, which is still up to this day. Half of it are people just being thankful the channel exists, and the other half being actual questions, and he divulges some pretty interesting information, like how at the time, Mr. SS was just one guy manning all the channels, and how he only started it because his friends were running similar channels and thought he'd do the same. The question I had about the name is taken from the classic tactical video game series Worms, in which one of the weapons is a sheep that blows itself up. I was more of a gun-bound guy, but you know. Back then, he found most of his music on SoundCloud and blogs, but during the rise, was getting over 100 music submissions a day. He selected the images for all the thumbnails, although nowadays, he's got people to do artwork for him that he showcases on his side channel. Actually today, I'm willing to bet that this is just a slightly larger operation, but I'll get into why I think that in a sec. We still don't know his actual name, and during the time of the AMA, he was only 22 years old, which would make him 33 in 2024. The passage of time. What can you do? Over the next few years, the Sheep and Friends would go on to do a, safe to say, generational run over the next 4 odd years or so. And with the likes of UKF and Monstercat, these giants would lay the foundation for dozens of channels to come, or existing channels to find new success, such as, and let me know if any of these make you feel something. College music, anime vibe, trap music HD, the sound you need, non-copyright sounds, label music, trap nation, get the sound, and nostalgic jams, among others. No? Nothing yet? Alright, hold on to that. Sometime around the mid-2010s, a guy named Josh Carr Hilton would create a management network for MSCs called District, and would help manage these type of channels into stable pseudo-music networks. Some of the channels include our friend Mr. Suicide Sheep, as well as others like Proximity, Seven Cloud, Selected, Aminia Music, Koala Kid, Cloud Kid, and Majestic Casual. Just to name a few. This is actually kinda ginormous. I'm surprised no one is talking about this. Well, also nobody cares, but like, I'm not sure you guys truly understand how big this got. Like, if you want a song that you heard online, chances are you're finding it uploaded by one of these guys. Lord knows I did, every time. Channels like Artsy Music and Sun Levy were made much earlier, but had their most successful videos around 2014 to 2016. Hell, even YouTubers had their own MSCs, with the one I most know being Leafy, when a fan made Leafy Radio, showcasing the music he used to use in his videos. And to come full circle, this way of presenting music all came back to the hands of the artists, with some taking this format and doing their own spin. One I rock with being Lakey Inspired, who created copyright-free music that's actually good, and alongside posting to his SoundCloud, would post on his YouTube like a music curation channel. Guys, this is fucking huge! Now this all sounds great, right? It's people getting all this music out there to a giant audience, so you'd think this was all going down smooth, and on the surface, it was. But when you get this big, the mouths start foaming. With all of these channels competing for dominance, it was bound to cause a problem. More specifically, supply wasn't meeting demand. With channels being made by others hoping to showcase their collections or to just cash in on the craze, copycats were abundant. Unfortunately for them, success wasn't a dish commonly served. By the late 2010s, people were getting tired of the same format, and understandably, the market was getting a little overcrowded. It seemed like this well had run its course, as channels were spawning in on Tuesday and were banned by Thursday. There needed to be a change. But in the middle of all of this was a channel seemingly like everyone else. A channel that came out of nowhere, also wanting to show off music. But could it really find success? No one knew it at the time, but this one channel was about to do something that would change the music landscape on YouTube once again. In 2015, a 15-year-old kid from France named Dimitri Somagai would create a YouTube channel and title it Chilled Cow. He was hoping to do a music showcase channel just like everyone else, and had an idea on how to do it. He thought that constantly stopping and starting your music, picking out songs in a playlist every time, got annoying pretty quickly. He figured that on top of putting out songs individually, he would also do two additional things that were gaining momentum on the website. Again. The first was making hour-long playlist videos featuring multiple songs in one video. But the second thing was, why not have the channel, alongside these videos, act more like a radio station and also do a live stream? Now, both of these ideas weren't new per se, and he wouldn't be the first to do either of these things, as just a year earlier in 2016, College Music, who specialized in lo-fi hip-hop and soft indie tunes, would do their own continuous live stream and go from 469 subscribers to over 100,000. Looking at that, a live stream seemed like a no-brainer. But that's just the music covered, because you still need something to look at during the stream, right? And for that problem, most people would just find looping GIFs of movies or TV shows, commonly anime themed, and have that be the backdrop. Couldn't tell you why, but people really love the anime aesthetic. Or they just want to see a cute girl. And because of how easy it is to put this together, a lot of people would do their own streams. But Dimitri's in particular would turn out to be something kinda unique. He would take inspiration from College Music, and on February 25th would start up his own Chilled Cow stream. This live stream would be titled Lo-Fi Hip Hop Radio Beats to Relax/Study To, with the video being a looping GIF from the movie Whisper of the Heart, a 1995 Ghibli movie in which a scene of the main character, Shizuku Tsukishima, would be seen writing in her room listening to music. Wait, that looks familiar. These live streams proved to be really popular among viewers, noting the vibe and general feeling of relaxation that the stream brought. This went on for a couple months and would gain some popularity, until being taken down twice for violating YouTube's copyright system. Not wanting to lose this unique aesthetic, Dimitri sent out a call to artists both online and at local art schools, hoping to find someone to make something original for him. Around February of 2018, a 15-year-old artist named Juan Pablo Machado was studying at an art school in Lyon, France, and happened to see Dimitri's posting. He was hesitant to respond at first, but thought back to what his teachers were saying throughout the year, which was to just try and submit your stuff into the industry. You never know, right? He would sketch up some concepts and submit them to the Chilled Cow channel, and to his surprise, Dimitri liked them. He would refine the drawings he made, and on March 2nd, upload a work-in-progress post to his small blog portfolio. This new artwork would still lean on the Ghibli style, but feature a new original girl, later named Jade, sporting custom Chilled Cow headphones and a green sweater endlessly scribbling away in her notepad. A noticeable change, but as to not forget their roots, Juan added an orange cat to the background, as cats are both calming and an important theme in the original Ghibli movie. Over the next few days, he would whip up a simple animation, and once he had more free time, create some more variations of the background, with one based around Lyon, France, and handed them to the cow. And on March 19th, a 2-hour-long playlist video and a new live stream would go live, featuring the new mascot. In only a year, the channel would earn its 1 million subscriber milestone. By 2018, multiple blogs and pages were being written about this new lo-fi girl, with different news outlets all focusing on this particular phenomenon, as people were using this not only to relax/study to, but also turn the chat into a sort of international virtual hangout for doomers like me. Hold up. I forgot to mention that the rise of these streaming channels in general seems random at first, but makes sense when you break it down. They're defined as pirate radio stations, that makes sense, and have been around since before the internet, people just taking music they liked and playing it over an airwave. And if you're wondering why for a time you seemingly couldn't go anywhere without seeing this girl, forgive me, I'm gonna get technical on ya, but to sum it up, people who click on a normal live stream or video would unsurprisingly click off a bit later, but these streams, by design, let you keep them on in the background while doing something else. Doing this boosts this thing called viewer retention, and YouTube loves that shit, it's like crack to them, which compels it to promote these streams more broadly. It really was that simple. This is more or less still how YouTube operates today, but they've taken a more authoritarian approach to how these live streams are handled. Okay, back to the girl. In 2020, during everyone's favorite virus, Lo-Fi Girl became a sort of haven for people to go to, mainly to sit and talk with others or just do work all while listening to some relaxing music. Unfortunately for the viewers, YouTube didn't have the same hospitality, as on February 22nd, the stream came to an abrupt end when the Chilled Cow channel got terminated. This wasn't an isolated incident either, as this seemed to be a thing that was happening to similar channels around the website. But a bit later, after public outcry, the stream was reinstated, with YouTube calling it a mistake on their end. Welcome to my I didn't get away with it seminar. Punches on the right. When it was removed, the VOD totaled a little over 200 million views, which made it one of the longest videos on the website, though you can't actually watch it. Surely this wouldn't happen again, right? Guys, we learned from this, guys? Guys? Nope, it happened again 2 years later over a bogus copyright claim. I feel like this is more indicative of a problem with YouTube's copyright system as a whole, but that's stepping out of my realm of expertise. Now this sucks for any channel, right? And for some, this probably would have been the end. But would you have guessed that both of these incidents actually helped the channel grow in the long run? Yeah, no joke. In April of 2020, the channel hit 5 million subscribers, the controversy only getting more eyes on the study sesh, with that number quickly rising. This seemingly small studying girl was now at this point an internet icon, and I guess it only made sense to hone in on this character altogether. And in November of that year, Dimitri would officially rebrand all the Chilled Cow channels to Lo-Fi Girl, becoming the new face of his music journey. The current stream started in 2022 and has been going on ever since. What the fuck is an internet bill? The stream today averages around 15,000 people every day, with the current live stream sitting at an astounding 400 million overall views. The Lo-Fi team, oh yeah, it's a team now, also tried branching out and experimenting with how far they could push this thing, starting by doing the classic move of gender bending. Now she's a boy who listens to synthwave music to game to, whose name is... Just kidding, boys don't get names, so they just called him Lo-Fi Boy. Now she's in medieval times, now she's in Asia, now she's in the summer, and now she's in Fortnite. Can't get any higher than that. With numbers like this, and the ones from the Sheep or UKF, you'd be hard-pressed to think that Lo-Fi Girl, or any of these people mentioned, are doing anything wrong. At their cores, all they want to do is show off good music to anyone willing to hear it, right? Although on the surface it seemed all good and the love was mutual, every crown has its edges, and this wouldn't stop people from pointing out some of the cracks in this musical showcase kingdom.
First of all, you're loomed out and it's not a scam.
It's a scam stuff.
Wait, that's Bless. How is it a scam?
Well, it's not like a scam, it's more like a scheme.
Well, a scheme is a scam, no?
Bro, a scheme is a scheme. What are you saying?
Fam, it's not a scheme or a scam. It's a business move.
I want to take you back to that Mr. Sheep AMA, because while scrolling through this thing, there were actually two interactions that stuck out to me the most. Although being two separate questions, they both cover the same problem of what it means to be a music curation channel in general. The first was from a user named Criddle, who asked,
"Hi Sheep, do you ever feel like the attention is more towards you than the actual artists?"
To which he responded by saying, "This frustrates me all the time. I often try to redirect more of the love to the artists as I feel that a lot of the subs give me most of the credit. I am just a messenger in the end of the day. The artists should be getting all of the attention." To which another user reading this would go off that question, but this time was a little more blunt.
"I've never heard of you before. From this perspective, it seems like people are praising you for simply uploading other people's music and making playlists for profit. Somehow. That sounds like criminal activity, not creativity to be celebrated. Am I missing something here? I hope I am."
To which he responded, "Understandable and valid opinion. It's all about promotion. Artists send me music asking me to upload, or I find music and ask for permission. A lot of the artists I feature have very few followers, and it's quite difficult for them to get their music out there. My channel has been around for 4 years now, and has grown to have quite a lot of subscribers. I try to expose those underrated artists so that they can expand their fan base, and hopefully make a living from music. It's pretty much like a blog, label, or anything similar." You could argue that what these channels are actually doing isn't much. They're not making the music or the art, so I guess they're doing nothing, right? Some of them were allegedly stealing the music at the beginning. The way Sheep put it, it's sort of sounding a little like "I'll pay you in exposure," which it kinda is. And I don't know the logistics of every curation channel, but I'm willing to bet that a lot of these artists probably didn't get paid from these guys when money entered the chat. So I'm inclined to agree with you on the surface. But to blindly agree to this philosophy is sort of missing a crucial point, because what made these guys stand out and why they got where they got is something that isn't really obvious until it's told to you, and that thing is branding. There's a reason why Dr. Perky won't be as big as its older brother. When you look at two people who upload the same thing, one from a large account and another from some random guy, whose naturally are you inclined to click on? If Lo-Fi Girl threw a Skrillex song in the middle of the stream, that wouldn't make any sense. It'd be funny, but it wouldn't make any sense. These channels, over the course of a few years, have built a reputation with their audiences to deliver and expect the promotion of quality music. People know what they're gonna get when they come to you, essentially acting like the blogs and forums that came before them. UKF and Mr. Suicide Sheep, not you, were just guys in their rooms, but you would never suspect it looking at how they carried themselves. A bit later. Record labels and individual artists saw what they were doing and knew it wasn't lawful and could have easily taken them down, but they saw all of their reaches and figured that was enough to negotiate a placement, even if it meant not getting paid. For the time being. I'm willing to bet that a handful of the stuff you like today probably didn't have the cleanest start either. Of course, there were artists that didn't like this idea and would instead attempt to grow organically, and that's understandable. If these guys can do it, why can't I, right? But for many other artists, they were willing to take that sacrifice if it meant one of the largest music bloggers on the internet would feature their song for free. You can make the case that these channels made it easier to find similar music that you might like here on YouTube, and had it widely accessible during a new era of media consumption. Look at me with my big words. Even if you didn't see any of them back then, the demand was clearly there, and although never said explicitly, it's implied that if your track is selected, people look at that for validation, like it's actually good or something, put it on your resume, and as we've seen, under the right circumstance, can help propel an artist into the masses. It's also what an artist does with this momentum that will determine where their career goes. Some just don't make it anywhere, while others go on to do crazy numbers. And on the topic of payment, nowadays almost all of these channels work with their artists directly, or just release the music under their self-owned labels, as to not deal with the logistics. Are there bound to be some bad actors? Of course there are, there always is. Some of these channels are probably dickheads, I don't know. Not everyone is the same, but all of these guys worked really hard to give their channels the look that they have. And for most people, they're willing to take that gamble with something that feels more established rather than someone they just found. Like me! Hi! By the mid-2010s, we would start to see the end of user-uploaded music on the tube. YouTube and the big labels would refine their agreements over the years and begin putting their foot down on anyone caught re-uploading their stuff with their newly revamped Content ID system that everyone loves and no one ever exploits it ever. Electronic music was all but dying out in the mainstream around 2016, with another genre slowly taking its place, and music streaming was slowly catching fire, gaining popularity by being able to find any song asterisks in one spot, and had both large and small labels backing it. YouTube would put their hat in the ring in 2015 with YouTube Music and refine it over the years. Working with distribution companies, we would start to see these auto-generated topic accounts being made for artists who chose to put their music on here, which, coupled with Vivo, negated the need for users to upload the songs themselves. But the carcasses of these MSCs are still here, and you would never guess how. Today, they've taken the form of lyric channels. Woo! You know these things. People taking songs and pasting the lyrics over a sunset they'll never see in their lives. These have been kind of big, as when a song either first releases or blows up on TikTok, these guys already have the regular and the slowed plus reverbed version locked and loaded for you. But that begs the question, where are the pioneers now? Well, I mentioned Lo-Fi Girl, while not being a pioneer, is still going strong, but the others, have taken a pretty noticeable drop. Starting with UKF, most of the videos posted nowadays don't really go anywhere, with some exceptions, operating more on a case-by-case basis. Same deal with The Sheep, albeit looking a little better. They aren't doing anything wrong, the music isn't bad, and people are listening. It's just that the genre of commercial EDM isn't as popular as it once was. It's not their fault, it just is what it is. I'm sure someone in the comments already blamed J. Cole for this. But as long as nostalgia exists, these things will always hold a special place in my heart. That's super corny, I just said that out loud, and I might have lost some aura points, but I don't give a shit. If you got a song you remember hearing all those years ago, go give it a listen after this, man. Go down your hole. That came out wrong. Do you remember at the beginning of the video, I mentioned how I found the Metallica song For Whom the Bell Tolls in this old pivot animation? Well, 17 years later, the online hit game Fortnite announces a collab with Metallica, putting some of their catalog in the game, one of them being, you guessed it, Enter Sandman, and I was pissed. But a bit later, they added the bells as a song and as an emote, and you know I got that shit. And it all started here for me. If Pivot Elite didn't put that song in the video all those years ago, I probably wouldn't have the same fondness for Metallica I do now. Sure, I probably would have found them some other way. I personally rediscovered them with Guitar Hero Metallica. That's where I heard Sandman for the first time. But it wouldn't have been as special, man. I wouldn't have the same connection with the track as I do now. And the same goes for Flux Pavilion, Adventure Club, or even Skrillex. Fuck it, Jamiroquai, get in here too. You don't even belong in this video, but I don't care. These channels, while built off shaky foundations, have done an incredible thing for not just music online, but music as a whole. They helped hammer in again the idea of people just want easy access to the stuff that they like, which is not new to music and is something that every industry should be working on a solution for. I'm looking at you, games. Because if you don't, people will just do it themselves and then get punished for it. All of these channels at their core were just people like you and me looking to share some music they thought was cool, and for them, this was the best way to do it. If you got big, that's a thumbs up, and if you got paid, that's 2 thumbs ups. But in the end, it's just some people with an idea that just so happened to come at the right time. I don't know why I'm so passionate about this right now, and I don't know where this video is going, but I'm rolling with it. I'm sure one of you watching this have something you want to do. Maybe you're like Luke and you're not trying to be the next big thing, but you got an idea. Or maybe you're like Dimitri and want to try and capitalize on something going on at the moment. Cause remember, they were just kids, man. Take it from me. I had an idea to mash up songs to make a short animated video, and that did really well. I also had an idea to do music commentary with an animated twist, and I got some success. But I also tried my hand at some fact shorts, and these didn't do all that good. But I never would have known any of this if I didn't try. I just want you to try. Even this style of video is new. I'm trying this out. Keep pushing, because these things only happen when you go against the norm. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen in a way that you never would have imagined. Speaking of which, that's my cue. I gotta go to Walmart, so thanks for watching. And big thanks to all my prickly patrons, you guys rock. If you're unaware, I have a timed exclusive series over there where each month I look at a vinyl in my collection. Yep, that's me. You might be wondering how I ended up here. And for like $2, you can watch them early over there. Lord knows these videos will take a minute, so there's some extra content for you diehards. If you don't want to pay me, I also stream over on Twitch via Bites Live in between videos, so go follow me over there. It's a good time. Okay, now I really gotta go.